have not yet decided whether it has any meaning, even for my standards. But we'll compare two completely different things. One is the storage places that we consider in a artificial intelligence system. There must be storage for storing data and also interventions. And data and interventions are not as different as they first appear, because incoming data from sensory input should always be first looked up in the existing storage, all the impressions or things to do, and they are stored in a dual nature, where the same piece of information represents both a tag, a stamp, a mnemonic from which we can remember to it. Every impression is stored from data that arrived into the CPU, and this data have to serve at the same time, should be immediately available for action, for output to send out to our organs or cells or whatever system we operate with that. And the only difference is between each data and procedure pair, or stimuli and action pair. The only difference between them is that they are gathered at a different point of time, and every new data arriving with the same mnemonic will be first looked up, and only afterwards will be stored. The extra part in that information will be stored, or the response or the result of our action, feedback, any extra information will be stored related, stays related in the memory to the first mnemonic and action that was first recognized and executed. So if we store these tables like in the first format that pops somebody's mind, binary, then we need to make sure that they are comparable to each other, and for that reason they should be normalized in some way. My first instinct was just keeping the number of zeros and ones the same, considering this a balance or a basic bit of intelligence, not information, intelligence. So the most basic level of intelligence we can digitally code in a system, currently probably not counting with special kinds of bits like qubits. We currently store either a 1 or a 0, and we keep them somehow in balance, in a delicate balance for that. And after reaching every balance, something like a multiplication happens, and the balance is when where there should be first a balance for the memory to be stored in the first place, because some memories just disappear, some just can't stop growing and overgrows, they just can't be stored. So regardless if it's ones and zeros as we can see in the binary system, or it's plus, minus and neutral, as we say in the world, in the physical world, where every small element seems to have either positive and negative or a neutral charge level that basically defines their interaction. But instead of calculating these interactions, we first look up the stimuli that reaches us through vision or touching or hearing or any other input, which I have not yet decided over too much, and that's probably another piece of cake to deal with. But as soon as we can store all kinds of impressions in a way that can be looked up instantaneously, as the brain looks them up instantaneously by a long search procedure, and then it's probably will be good enough for something that starts to develop into something intellectually more adapted, and so to put it all together, input comes inside, and first it's always looked up. This set of stimuli is looked up, and the impression that it also means is immediately sent for execution, for the muscles and all kinds of reactions that are coming out of the central processing unit. And somehow these bits of information that are stored in dual way, so they are these fluid bits, what I like to call them currently, are all separate bits, are intertwined by only the one-way communication that happening at multiplication. As we just discussed, information is multiplicating as soon as we looked them up. We look them up, our consciousness looks them up from the storage. As soon as a counterpart impression is stored and looked up instantaneously, or almost instantaneously in the brain, and multiplication happens, and a new piece, cell of information after multiplication goes through an evolution, and it will already contain that extra information that came back from the stimuli and the action that automatically was delivered. And only after that, and the feelings that are coming back from all this, it may be able to build a new entity in the memory that will come up with an enhanced reaction to the same stimuli, same set of stimuli. And well, I'm just reading what I have earlier was trying to write down. So evolution induced by a small virtually random change in the data. Now that's not a random change in the data, it's something that appears to be a random change, but mutation is caused by circumstances, caused by feedback from the surrounding world, in this model at least. And that change in the data also serves as instruction from the truth table. So it comes up with an update. It causes the action to be taken being updated. So in that new cell, without killing the first set of first set of experience we have already stored, without killing that, we keep that alive because it's a stable information piece, and we just extend it into a more complicated one with a longer DNA, if you like, complication measured in DNA, but the whole thing serves as a DNA, the whole piece of ever increasing information set. And now that little change, however, is not it's already 12 minutes, but never mind. That little change, however, is not merely random. Yeah, I realized that earlier, that it's probably not random, but comes from an outer stimuli serving as a disturbance in the previous balance. So this balanced piece of fluid bit is looked up, like kind of instantaneously. I tell you how. Instantaneously looked up from all the possible stored stimuli and things to do pair, and that fluid bit is grows basically. So it grows with a new information, like with a positive feedback. If somebody comes back with a very negative feedback, like we feel a pain, we have a sudden reaction of pulling our hands away, and it normally works, but in some cases we hit our head even worse than it was originally, and will cause a pain that is probably bigger than the original pain when we just trying to stroke a cat and it bites us just a bit, but we scare, or we react a little bit too strongly, and we hit our elbows into the corner of the table, and we can remember as something that is not supposed to be done. So a not to do list is can be built from this in some way, which is not fully discovered yet. The growth of the fluid bit caused by the increased information content, plus reaching a next stable size. This will ratify multiplication. Yeah, that will justify the interaction that is made, or either prove it wrong, or a bad reaction, or it proves it to be a good reaction, and the stored is stored that way. And the method by which a new stimuli can immediately find its counterpart in the stored memory is a table of similarity that is constantly being built, and it's it's for the brain to go through is not more difficult than for a ball to roll down on a complicated surface. So when a certain which is, I think it's already written here. Now I was hoping to be able to write it down, but I will have to make it up on the spot. And so when a new stimuli comes in, it's being converted in some kind of normalized form, which is such that it can be compared immediately with the rest of the things. It's like comparing, setting a whole lot of different shapes into some kind of order by just first checking which one is the tallest, which one is the widest, and to keep trying. I just turn them around the way that they finally spit this out, but I'm not. I don't really have a solution for that, but even knowing that the information, the similar piece of information, must be found instantaneously, almost instantaneously, it tells me that a table, an index kind of thing needs to be built, which is not a linear index, but more like an index which can be described with a surface on which a ball goes to the deepest point, unless it's stuck somewhere. But that's going to be a long story still.